Winter's gone, but I'm still frozen to the bone. I don't know what happened this winter. I mean, first time out experiencing a real winter with snow and temperatures below freezing. It was good times. I really enjoyed it. But I don't know what's happened because now that winter is over and we've got the sunshine back and everything like that, I'm more cold than ever. I mean, I'm enjoying being cold, but it's crazy. I mean, I'll tell you one thing though. The wind has been mighty fierce. Can we say that about the wind? And I mean, to the point where you remember when you were a kid and it was really like blowing outside and you thought like, oh, if I could just get on kind of like a rock or a ledge, and with like a flappy jacket, I could maybe kick off and the wind will just kind of carry me away. And that was cool until you fell on your face. And then, a couple times later, the wind was blowing even stronger than that day. And you were just trying to fight your way just to get through it. And then as you get older, you're like, it's just the wind. But I mean, it's been crazy. Even like out here, I was been so shocked about the wind. And I think like that's like creating a little bit more of a wind chill. Ooh, maybe if I use fancy words, I mean, I still sound like a wuss, but I mean, I'm like I said, loving the cold. It's just like winter's over, and yet I thought like I feel like my bones have been like cooled off, and now with the wind, I'm just like experiencing every like little chill. Because I kept saying, because my girlfriend was not one for the cold. I really thought when we moved to Colorado from California that everyone was like, "Oh, we're gonna come and visit and see like the snow and everything like that." And I was like, "Well, that might not be a good idea because I think my girlfriend's gonna be frozen and she won't be thawed until like now." Well, I guess like now, but she handled it like a boss. But I think I kept saying so much about being frozen to the core that it was me that got frozen, and that's not how this is supposed to work. But back to this win because it's crazy town USA, and I always get much excitement with the wind. I don't know why. Well, those stories before. And plus, when I was like a teenager or something like that, I don't know why I went actually, but I went canoeing down the Colorado River. And oh, that sounds like super exciting if you didn't have a habit of becoming like dehydrated and useless to the rest of the people you were with. I don't know why I'm laughing at that. It's not funny. But I don't know why it would like when I'd go out on all these like outdoor adventures and I just like wouldn't drink any water. And I would think, oh yeah, that's okay. And then I'd wonder why I'm like walking around going, oh my, I'd be thinking that I'd walked like 100 miles, like when you're a kid and your grandparents would tell you, back in my day, I had to walk 5 miles uphill in the snow both ways. And you kept thinking, how could it be uphill both ways? Like if you had to walk uphill to get to school, you'd have to then walk back down, right? Like, or would you literally walk another hill just that, like, it sounds like you made it more difficult for yourself unless the roads weren't built correctly. Like, I couldn't understand it. That was always the phrase. It was like, I walked 5 miles uphill both ways in the snow with one shoe after waking up at the crack of dawn to feed 18 chickens. I mean, like, the story just kept getting bigger and bigger, and you're like, why? I get some of this, but I mean, I can't go all the way here. And then the other thing too. So back to this canoeing down the Colorado River. 'Cause I don't know why that story seemed interesting. So I'm on the Colorado River and I'm on the canoe. And if you're on the canoe, you got two spots. You got the front and the back. And in the back, you got the steering capabilities. Right, I'm going over the mechanics of the canoe. And in the front, you got all the power. Which I mean, terrible idea to put me up there, but I guess not competent enough to steer. So maybe I could be some use up front. Well, when you're on a canoe and you're like dehydrated and you got the sun bouncing off the water, hitting you square in the face, and you're trying to paddle and you're not getting anywhere, and you're just like slumped over, and the waves. I mean, I'm painting a terrible picture over here. and we are on the Colorado River, and we were going into this like canyon, and the wind was just, I mean, it was howling through there. And so and I'm just sitting there like, oh, I got like two other canoes of people, not just like I'm not holding two other canoes, but there are two other canoes of people with me. And so they had this brilliant idea of stringing up some of like of tying some of the paddles together, tying our canoes together, and having me, because I'm just kind of here, just kind of hold on to the other canoes as kind of like extra, so that we're all together. And we built like a makeshift sailboat, right? We put the paddles up in the center, threw a tarp over the paddles, and then just let the wind do the rest. Well, someone had one of those GPSs. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. You know, but I'm talking the old school ones. Now it's all on our phones or it's like in our glasses. But it had one of those old school, like it just did the old GPS thing. It had no other gadgets or gizmos. And it clocked us going 30 miles an hour. I have no idea if that was true because I'm still like this. And like it was crazy because we came out of the canyon and we're zooming along, and everybody else who had already long passed us, because you gotta keep canoeing. They're on the shore. They're all camps all set up, and they're watching this makeshift sailboat zoom out of the canyon. And I'm kind of just slooped over in the front, going, "Hey!" So I always think after that when it's crazy wind outside, I'm like, well, what could you do with it? Now, my girlfriend, she's like, well, we're going to get killed, so don't go out there. She's terrified of the wind. It blows a little bit, and we're like, oh no. Especially even now with like us being in Colorado, things are a lot more insulated, because, they experience seasons out here, so material has to withstand a lot more than sunny and 75. I apologize. And so even with like when we even first walked in this apartment, they were like, there's double windows on our apartment. And we were so confused. We're from California. There's no double windows. If you had double windows at a California house, you would be melted by the sun. There's no way that's. I walked in. I was like, why is there two windows here? It took me a whole. I was to the point where you ever look at something so dumb, but you're so baffled by it. Like I almost called somebody. Like that's how to the point I was like, should I call somebody to figure out why we have two windows? And then you're like, okay, no, you can figure this out. Just give it a couple minutes, and you're thinking, okay, well insulated seasons. Oh, I wonder what that's gonna be like. And now I'm frozen to the bone. So that's always helpful.